What's up, nerd geeks and gamers alike? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about some underappreciated games on the PS2. Now, hidden gems aside, not all of these are going to be the most spectacular games you've ever played. But that's the beauty of video games, right? You got the AA, the budget titles, the AAA games. Each variety has good games held within that don't always get light shed on them. So today, we're just going to talk about some games that I really like on the PS2. So let's get to it. Real quick, before we get any further into the episode, I just want to go ahead and thank our Patreon show producers. Over at patreon.com/N2podcast. For as little as $3, you can help us out directly, whether that be the $3 tier, $5 tier, or $10 tier. Choice is yours, completely optional, but we are viewer supported. So I'd just like to thank all these fine folks right here for supporting the channel and helping us grow and move forward. Alright, back to the video. The PS2, literally the most successful video game system of all time. Sure, the Switch might pass it or might already have, I'm not sure, I don't know off the top of my head, but widely regarded as the most successful video game system of all time. Most units sold, so on and so forth. And with all those units being sold, it also had a ton of video games for this system. You had tons of racing games, fighting games, platformers, first-person shooters. The list goes on, my dude. So today, I just want to take a couple of those games from this gigantic library and show you which ones I really liked to play growing up. I got my PS2 back in Christmas of 2003. It was a big blister pack combo thing from Costco that my parents got me. And it came with, obviously, the system. It had Jak and Daxter and Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec. I tried both of them out and absolutely loved them. I was totally blown away by the capabilities of what this system could actually do. Jak and Daxter was my first foray into a really big open world type of game. It was expansive, mind-blowing, and beautiful at the time too. There was something about those early 2000s video games that just had beaches and water as a main setting for some reason. Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy X. And Jak and Daxter, Mario Sunshine, the list goes on, right? But anyways, what's awesome about this library for this system is there's literally a game for everyone because there's so many titles. I'm not even scratching the surface with my own personal collection. Now again, these aren't going to be your hidden gems or anything like that. These are just my personal must-own games. I don't know if they're cheap. I don't know what price charting is saying they're at these days, but guarantee you they're probably affordable. I'm not a big spender when it comes to video games, so you're probably safe if you want to, go buy one of the games that I'm talking about. You can probably find it for a reasonable price. But with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look, and I'll see you at the end. So the first game I want to talk about is Sega's 2002 reboot of Shinobi. It's a high-flying, fast-paced hack-and-slash platformer that takes place in a post-apocalyptic Tokyo. It's set 4 years after defeating your older brother for control of the Oboro clan. Hellspawn and possessed ninjas take over the streets of Tokyo, all the while a mysterious golden palace emerges out of the middle of the ravaged city. Your old pals slain in action have fallen under an evil reanimation spell by the wicked sorcerer Hiruko, who was believed to be actually defeated by the Oboro clan long time ago. It's up to you, Hatsuma, and your soul-eating sword, Akujiki, to take down this wannabe Voldemort of the East and take back the city. The gameplay is pretty smooth with acrobatics like double jumps, ghost dashing, wall runs, and so on. And you actually get score bonuses for stringing kills together for cinematic fashion. Alongside your sword, you also have a slew of shurikens, I can never say it right. The game screams early 2000s attitude and over-stylization, which is actually totally fine with me. And as a little fun fact, this was actually developed for the Dreamcast before the system met its demise. Which is actually pretty sad because I think this would have been a total standout for the Dreamcast had it actually lived and had a decent, shelf life. But yeah, it is a very divisive game, I will say. Some people love it and some people hate it. I tend to appreciate it. It is totally a departure from your standard Shinobi games, the side-scrolling platformers. But this was at a moment in time where franchises were starting to evolve. So, anyways guys, go ahead and check this one out today. Next up on the list are the excellent games from the Dragon Ball Z Budokai franchise. The first one being released in November of 2002 for the PS2, and then it actually came out in 2003 for the GameCube. Both under Infogrames Publishing in the United States, with the last one being out late in 2004, published by Atari, so it definitely switched hands publishing-wise, while all titles were developed by Dimps. It literally takes all of your favorite Dragon Ball characters and gives you your first major 3D fighting game for the Dragon Ball franchise. It's full of tournament modes, what-if campaigns, and more, with the third title even coming with a development behind-the-scenes DVD. The combat is pretty straightforward and doesn't take too much getting used to. It's much more simpler than your standard Tekken or Mortal Kombat game as far as inputs and, all the combos and things like that. But it doesn't mean that it's actually easy at all. You'll find yourself having to really strategize your approach on many foes throughout each of the 3 titles on the PS2. Each game improves on the previous title from graphics, control, combat, features, etc, etc. You've got the fists, kicks, ki blasts to blow up the screen with all the fun. My personal favorite is 3, while the first one holds a giant place in my heart. So I'm going to get a little personal here with why I love the first one, even though it's not my favorite. So back December 2002, I knew right away, like, dude, I wish I was getting a, PS2 for Christmas. I'm not getting one, blah, 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 blah. And my nana, which is, Spanish for grandma, she took me to KB Toys at the Tucson Mall. We were doing some Christmas shopping for family. And she goes, "What do you want?" And I go, "Well, what I really want I can't get because it doesn't really matter." And she goes, "What do you mean?" And I go, "That game, Dragon Ball Z Budokai." I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan at this point. I've been watching it for years. And I had known about the game coming out because I had an electronic gaming monthly subscription. That was for all you younger guys out there and girls, that was a video game magazine you would get in the mail every month. But I knew all about it. I knew it was coming out, and I had told her, I was like, yeah, I don't have a PS2 though, and I know I'm not getting one for Christmas. And she goes, "Just get it." And I was like, "But I can't play." And she goes, "Mijo, shh, cállate, let's get it." And so I got it, and I was like, okay, and we checked out at KB Toys, and she took the game, and kept it with her until Christmas, and I opened it up on Christmas, and I was like, well, I can't play it, so, and then, lo and behold, I opened up a PS2 that Christmas. So it was pretty great. So anyways, they're not the best games Dragon Ball has seen, but we all owe the success of, like, Dragon Ball FighterZ, Kakarot, Sparking Zero, to Budokai for saving its place in the fighting game arena. Keeping it in the fighting game genre, let's talk about a straight up brawler. War of the Monsters is all the 1950s horror kaiju cheese you could ever ask for. Developed by Incognito Inc., the same dudes behind classics like Twisted Metal Black, Twisted Metal Small Brawl, and Twisted Metal Head On, and published by Sony Computer Entertainment. You control one of 8 base monsters or kaiju, with a total of 11 after you unlock the rest, in an all-out brawl to see who will reign supreme. Characters range from giant apes, lizards, lava tiki gods, aliens, giant insectoids, and more. The environments are mostly cityscapes, military bases, or nuclear power plants. What makes the stages absolutely rad is how everything in them is interactive and, most importantly, destroyable. See a car driving by? Pick it up and use it as a projectile at your enemy. Want to climb up the tallest tower and launch a surprise attack from above? Go for it. Radio antenna as a spear. Helicopters, AC units, and more as grenades? Heck yeah. Each monster has their own combos, grapples, and specials to make them unique and rad. It's a fun time solo, but a better time split screen versus. That's right. You can play up to 2 people, and it is such a blast. It's a great time and one of the most unique games in the PS2's library. Check it out. Time to switch things up and crank the octane. ATV Offroad Fury 1 and 2 are some of the most fun you can have racing on 4 wheels on the PS2. Developed by Rainbow Studios and published by Sony Computer Entertainment, the series got off a hot start right out of the gate in February of 2001, with its sequel quickly racing by in November of 2002. Now, I'm only including the first 2 here because after that, while 3 and 4 did come out and were totally fine games, the development studio, Rainbow Studios, behind 1 and 2, actually left the series and went on to make the MX vs. ATV franchise, and in my personal opinion, those games are far better to play than ATV Offroad Fury 3 and 4 or any standalone MX game. Anyways, these 2 entries are packed with great tracks, licensed and generic quads, and rider gear. The soundtracks have in-house music thrashing its way on the menus, and some great licensed songs and soundtracks akin to the Tony Hawk franchise. There's tons of different modes to take on, from standard races, cross-country tracks, to freestyle events evoking the best tricks and daredevil feats. There's plenty of customization to your character, from the jersey name and number to colors of your gear and your quad. It's a really great time and a personal staple of mine on the PS2. And a fun fact, they did have some great PSP ports, and one of the things I did back in high school before I ever had an MP3 player or MP4 player, whatever, I used to put the music on pause, or I used to pause the game and listen to the music on my PSP walking from class to class. Anyways, dudes, definitely check these games out. They're totally rad.
And now for something completely different.
A title I sank a ton of time into when I was but a wee bit lad, all those years ago. I don't know why I did that. Anyway, 2004's Champions of Norrath, developed by Snowblind Studios and published by Sony Computer Entertainment, takes on the world of EverQuest in a whole new fashion. This dungeon crawler implements the standard hack-and-slash combat variety, but as you'll progress, you can most definitely go for long-range attack styles with bows and using magic and the like. From the beginning of the game, you can select from several different races and classes to even further customize your set character. This game is a straight-up RPG in its heart, having you upgrade intelligence, strength, stamina, and so on. You manage your inventory, upgrade armor, sell items to earn coins, and more. The story is classic as time is, having some bad orcs and sorcerers doing bad things and blah blah blah. Just give me some bad guys to slay with some badass weapon and send me on my way, baby. One thing I love about this game, for shits and giggles is how they were not afraid to make the ladies attractive, sexy, and dangerous. It's a great game. A lot of fun. Check it out. Lastly here on the list, we've got Amplitude. Now let me just start by saying, Frequency crawled so Amplitude could totally rock the house down. Before the days of Guitar Hero, Harmonix applied their musical gaming wits to a much lesser known title called Frequency, and its smoother, more polished sequel, Amplitude. There's a lot of early signs of what Guitar Hero would become in this game looking back. You pilot a laser zapping craft traveling upwards on a musical track, zapping notes as they come down, just like in Guitar Hero. But you have to hit them all in a string accurately for that track to continue on playing music for the next few moments, while you move adjacently over to several other tracks to do the same thing to get the song playing as a whole. There's a lot to manage and it can add up quickly in higher difficulties, but beating each song is rewarding nonetheless. What's interesting about the game is how you are virtually a DJ, mixing the song based on what tracks you quote unquote like zap to life in the arrangement you wish. You can have a song play out totally different than it's actually intended to be and still beat the stage. It's a seriously detailed game that really laid out all the groundwork for Guitar Hero and other music games to actually follow suit. It's a beat blasting good time, and as David Bowie said, no, seriously, he's quoted on the back cover, Amplitude rocks. It's totally and completely addicting. And those are some of my favorite PS2 games. Let me know down below in the comments what your guys' favorite PS2 games are. I'd love to hear what you have to say and get in conversation with you guys down there. Also, if you're new, leave a like and subscribe. We upload videos normally every Friday, and we have a podcast on this very channel live every Monday night at 6:30 p.m., 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We talk about all things video games, movies, comic books, pro wrestling, and more. There's a little something for everyone, and who doesn't enjoy two goofballs just chit-chatting? And also, thank you to our Patreon show producers, yet again, these very awesome people over here, because we are viewer supported. Not yet monetized on YouTube, and we appreciate all of the patronage over at patreon.com/N2podcast. And last but definitely not least, if you want to see me at a convention, go to malicemediallc.com and book me today for your show. That is, if you're a showrunner, of course. With that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. I've been Nerdy Nick. I love you guys. And until next time, game on.